I might have the answer to the biggest question ever in Poppy Playtime. Who is Ollie? The truth about Ollie has been hidden in plain sight, and I can't believe it took this long to discover. What I'm about to show you will challenge everything you thought you knew about this mysterious character. As if Poppy Playtime doesn't have enough mysteries, Ollie just adds himself to the mix in the game's third chapter. When we're first going through the game, you don't think too much about him. We're just happy to have a sidekick after being left to survive on our own. But as the game progresses, we start to notice odd things about his character. For example, his childlike choice of words and his apparent connection with the color green. It's not a surprise that people have so many theories regarding his existence, which is why we have to talk about what we do know, or at least what we think we do. Ollie is present in almost the entirety of Chapter 3, Deep Sleep. Despite that, we never get to see what he looks like, as he only appears in the form of a voice. I mean, knowing the weird stuff that's been done by Playtime Company, it wouldn't be too surprising if he didn't actually have a body. We first hear Ollie at the beginning of the chapter, when the player picks up the ringing telephone after completing the first series of puzzles. Starting from that moment, he becomes our guide, helping us navigate through Playcare, which is Playtime's orphanage where the chapter takes place. He's seemingly only able to communicate with us over the telephone. We're told that he speaks with Poppy off-screen numerous times, but the method those two use is never disclosed. It's heavily implied that he always knows our location, even though he's not physically with us. If we go based on just his voice, he sounds like he's a boy who hasn't hit puberty yet. Some people have speculated that if he is human, then he's at least under the age of 10. Despite how he sounds, it's hardly believable that he's an actual normal child due to his strange characteristics. Okay, let's say he was a Playcare orphan who was still a baby when the hour of joy occurred. Somehow, he managed to survive without dying, which would mean he would have been raised by the toys. There is a high possibility of that being the case, considering that most of the toys wouldn't do anything to harm the orphans. This is confirmed by the yellow tape we could find in Chapter 3. In that tape, Catnap confirmed that the children were safe. He was just not willing to disclose their location, since Miss Delight would willingly kill them.
Where are the kids? Please, where are the children? Are they in the same place as the employees?
No.
Are the children safe?
Yes.
Oh. Can I see them?
No.
And that was it. That's all he'd tell me.
You might then question, how does Ollie survive without any food or water? Well, with a faculty as comprehensive as Playcare, it wouldn't be a surprise if they had some kind of a bunker. This bunker could contain a pantry with huge stocks of water and food. Don't forget that the company had already been built when World War II was going on. At that time, having an emergency bunker was a common thing. Therefore, Ollie or the other orphans might have been living off those supplies, which could be how they survived till present day. But even with this explanation, there's still something that feels off. Remember that one time when Ollie specifically said the kids used to live here? If he was an orphan, why would he refer to himself in a third-person perspective? It would have made more sense if he had used the word we instead of the kids. Also, it's not very usual for a child to use phrases like forsaken soul, a relic of innocence, or depths of abandonment. These are words that were said by Ollie in the Project Playcare Forsaken trailer.
Compassion is the discarded gem of the Forsaken, a relic of innocence left behind like a misfit toy. Call me a forsaken soul, but I am but a wayward plaything, cast aside and lost in the depths of abandonment.
These are definitely words you would expect from a young adult, especially in the dark context in which they're being used. And we can't forget his most notable line being, I am but a wayward plaything cast aside. Is he suggesting to us that he's a toy? There seems to be a lot of people who agree with the theory that Ollie is a toy, but the real question is, what kind of a toy is he? Some believe that he's the telephone itself. Others believe that he's another character disguising themselves as Ollie. The less popular but quite convincing theory is that he's a doll just like Poppy. Let's break each of these theories down one by one. Ollie being a toy phone doesn't seem to need too much explanation. He has eyes, which might explain how he knows where we are in the game. He used to be a human, probably an employee, who had access to the security system of Playcare. This may be the reason he has extensive knowledge about every corner of Playcare and how to get around the place. It could also explain why we as the player always seem to go in the right direction. Believe it or not, some people also theorize that Ollie is another toy, specifically Bobby Bearhug. This theory exists because their voices sound very similar to each other. Plus, she's the only smiling critter other rather than Picky Piggy, who doesn't scream when her cutout button is pressed. This might indicate that she's still alive and hiding somewhere. There's also one more thing that makes people convinced that she's alive, and that's the fact that Picky Piggy never said anything about eating a bear. Her cutout mentioned things about eating an elephant, a unicorn, and a chicken, possibly referring to Bubba Bubbaphant, Crafty Corn, and Kickin' Chicken, but she never mentioned a bear. I'm not gonna discuss the smiling critters too deeply, but maybe, just maybe, the screams of the other critters are the sounds of them getting eaten by Picky Piggy. Okay, back to Ollie. And then there are also others who speculate that Ollie is a doll, just like Poppy. This may sound like a stretch, but hear me out. If you haven't noticed yet, Playtime loves creating toys in pairs or sets. For example, Huggy Wuggy and Kissy Missy. There's also Mommy Longlegs and Daddy Longlegs. Then we have the Smiling Critters set. So far, Poppy hasn't shown to have a pair. Maybe in the future, Ollie will be introduced as Poppy's male counterpart. They could be a couple, friends, or siblings. And don't you think Ollie kind of rhymes with Poppy? Or is it just me? Anyway, let's shift our focus a little bit. Previously, I mentioned how Ollie could be someone who was familiar with Playcare's security system and then got turned into a toy. Although that's quite convincing, there's one time in the game where Catnap speaks over the phone system to threaten us. He says, "Leave Playcare or I'm coming for you." So instead of that, I think it's pretty reasonable to say that Ollie is probably the security system itself. This is why I referred to him as it before. There are many things that could support this theory. First, the Hour of Joy VHS tape. If you think about it, we don't even know how Poppy got the footage to begin with. From what we know, it mainly consists of footage from the security cameras. We can assume that the prototype would have wanted to keep a tight lid on the events as they occurred. He definitely wouldn't want someone like Poppy getting their hands on footage to use against him. Poppy being able to retrieve this kind of footage alone would be unlikely, but with the help of the security system itself, it might be possible. Second, it all comes back to Ollie's way of speaking. We've seen some prime examples of sus phrases he has said before. In fact, he's quite inconsistent when it comes to vocabulary. At one given moment, he'll speak normally, with straightforward lines in a calming tone, but in other moments, he'll speak like a child who only knows limited words. Now, limited might be the wrong word, and we should probably describe it as being restricted. Restricted, as in Ollie is not allowed to say certain words, kind of like a child who has parental controls turned on their tablet. We can assume that this restriction is how he was programmed by Playtime Co. Despite being free from his oppressors, Ollie is still subject to the rules he was built on, which makes for some interesting dialogue with the player.
Hey, are you alright? No ouchies or lost body parts?
The color green is also a significant part of Ollie's character and gives us a big hint to his true identity. In the subtitles, Ollie's name is written in green, and can you guess what also happens to be green? The electric hand, batteries, and other electrical items. Not to mention the VHS tape that explains Playcare's security system. Is it a coincidence that they're the same color, or is the game trying to tell us something important? Maybe this has been the crucial piece of evidence this entire time. The final theory regarding Ollie's true identity may seem to be the craziest, but it also seems to be one of the most widely believed ones. Ollie is actually the prototype. The strongest reason for this is because of his ability to perfectly mimic the voices he hears. Based on this theory, the prototype used this ability to copy a child's voice and now pretends to be Ollie. If it's true, he might be doing that to lure us into him, and what he'll do after that is now still a mystery. We may need to wait for a while until we found out the truth about Ollie. At least for now, we can be sure that he's an ally who's on Poppy's side, and whoever or whatever he is, he's done a great job making us think hard. Who do you think Ollie is? Is he a human, a toy, a security system, the prototype, or another kind of entity? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button. We'll be back with more videos like this. See you next time.